drive out here from Port St. Lucie, isn't it? So very excited that we're expanding our network. So anybody that is ever interested in being a feature or knows somebody who wants to be a feature, please see me or have them contact me. But Stella is here from, again, Port St. Lucie. She is a published poet and a teacher and has a bachelor's degree in poetry, fancy, and just loves the connection that poetry makes with people. So, welcome, Stella. Oh!
Hey.
Hey.
All right. I promise I'll be my authentic self.
Do it.
It's a little quirky. It's a little awkward. But I promise I'll be my authentic self. All right. So, as Miss Lauren said, I am Stella B. I am a spoken word artist. I have been doing poetry for some 12 or 13 years. Nice long time. And let's get into why I do it. I went to hell this morning, came back and brought you poetry. I was burned to a degree, you may not recognize me, but listen to this shift in my mission, to how I've been replenished, never to be diminished again. I'm reliving every sin, every trifling, conniving echoes of silence beating down the walls of my emptiness. I was cut deep, deeper than death could ever meet, and the only reparation I was ever handed was an apology. I've got trash bags filled with apologies. I'm sorry for your mental maladies, but sorry couldn't cover the ground I bled on. I felt like an open Bible that everybody just read wrong. I've been transformed into a different species. There's a change in my walk and life in what I speak. I thought hell was a curse for eternity, but sometimes you gotta go through hell to get to where you need to be.
Let's go.
It's a good thing I let my mind slip me. This pain produced my every word of poetry, but I am not a poet. What I am is resilient, a promise from the Most High to this generation, a living form of a deliverance. I am a goddess, a superhuman, amazing phenomenon, a light to the blind and the deaf man's favorite song. I am powerful, a movement alone like shifts in tectonic plates. I am a wave, an epidemic to be reckoned with. I am not your average anything, and settling is against my religion. I am the mother of tomorrow, and the reason God has yet to forsake us. I'm a dangerous genius, a much needed revolution, the solution not made to be figured out. I'm someone you will never meet but always hear about. Like word through the grapevine, I've been intertwined with blazes. I had to walk on firestones to make it a good year. Call me amazing. Sacrificial by nature, I went to hell for the sake of creation, found my way back to a stage just to bring you poetry. Thank you. All right, y'all good? Y'all still with me? All right, so once I got my footing as a spoken word artist, the first thing that I thought to do was to give back. And I currently run a nonprofit by the name of Black Creatives of the Treasure Coast. The Treasure Coast is the Indian River County, St. Lucie County, Martin County area. And in that area, we lack true artistic expression. We lack it even more with our youth. So if you see this lovely red Coke bottle in the corner, I am collecting donations for anyone who would like to support me bringing more youth programs into the Treasure Coast. So that is my mission. It is what I'm trying so hard to do. The reason I got my degree, it's everything for me. If you could please, look at Vanna White over here, okay. So if you could please support, I would be so grateful. I'll pass it around a little later.
We'll set it outside at the front too.
Okay, perfect. Oh, I've got Cash App, Venmo, Selves. I've got a little bit of everything. Oh yes, like, yes, I appreciate your support. It means a lot to me. So a little backstory. I have been doing poetry forever, writing for forever, but in 2020, I really wanted to get published. So I met with a friend of mine, Roscoe Burnhams. He's a poet up in Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, and he's poet laureate. So I hit up my poet laureate friend, and I'm like, help me out. You've been published over a dozen times, right? Help me. Like, what am I doing wrong here? So I had him read some of my poetry, and he's like, this is good, you know, like goes up on your mom's fridge good, right? He's like, but you're not your authentic self. He's like, I don't see you in any of this poetry. It's beautiful, great writing, you're doing great, but you're not in it. So he's like, I want you to try again, but this time I want you to tell your story. And I said, okay. So I wrote a poem about my father and what I went through with that. And it immediately got published. Wow. Like, incredible. Yeah. So, I say all that to say, for those of you in the room who are writers, tell your story, right? We love the language and it's beautiful, it's flowery, it's pretty. But we're looking for connection, for human connection. And we don't get that in metaphors and similes and all that. We get that from you being yourself. So here is a little bit of my story. My mother had a dream. Now, you know Caribbean folk and their dreams, right? My mother dreamed that I died at 16. So she prayed. My mother ripped heaven apart for her daughter. They say that the prayers of the righteous availeth much, so God said yes, but he never heard a prayer of mine. When I was 16, we were homeless. My father was homeless, and all I could pray for was dying. Imagine never having to sleep in a car again. I was ready for it all to end, but my mother's prayers dulled the razors that were aimed at my wrist, rammed the bullets back into their chambers, emptied every bottle of pills. I entered a war of biblical proportions, fighting against the force keeping me alive. My mother prayed heaven that I wouldn't die, but made my life a living hell. Her tongue was fire and brimstone. I was Sodom and Gomorrah. She called me everything but a child of God, blamed me for our homelessness, blamed me for my father's absence, said that God was punishing our family for my sins, but the only sin I was guilty of was living. Existing was my punishment for being a child that no one could love. I couldn't understand how someone so evil could sway the hand of God.
Let's go.
My mother prayed that I wouldn't die, but slaughtered me with her words. Exchanged my suicide for homicide. I became an unholy thing, dead on the inside, but well put together to the untrained eye. I wondered why God would give me life and not a purpose, or was my purpose to be her verbal punching bag? She prayed for me, then prayed on me. Her amen aimed at my life expectancy while successfully making me out to be the enemy. I watched as my mother's prayers prevented car accidents, but her words gave me depression and anxiety like Lazarus. I never asked to be called from my tomb, resurrected, then forced to live in a broken home only to die twice. My mother's prayers brought me back from the dead, but she never gave me life. But I lived. Scarred from her tongue lashings, I lived. Buried with my heart still beating, I lived. Maybe I could turn this cemetery into a garden, turn my coffin into a living room, turn these burial clothes into scripture. I lived to see myself become an alchemist, fill in the gaps with magic. I would have never known how powerful I could be if I had died at 16. Thank God for my mother's prayers. Thank you. Whew, it's heavy. Y'all okay?
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. One thing I try to teach my students is how to tell their story. We have these tools, right? I learned about them in college. I have a bachelor's degree in poetry, and we use them so eloquently. But are we using more of the tool than we are telling the story? There's a balance there, right? So it's important to use, I know what I said. It's important to use metaphors and similes and, it's cool, right? But at the end of the day, are you telling your story? And is there more of the pretty stuff, right? And not enough of you in the writing? So this is more of my story. This one's hard. And I might cry.
Keep it real.
Safe space.
But
Keep it real.
it is a safe space. And I'm gonna be my authentic self. And if my authentic self decides to cry, then that's just what we're gonna do. Hopefully you can connect with this. If you don't, please don't feel bad. It's all good. Let me just get into it. I am so bad at grammar. I can't remember who an apostrophe is supposed to possess. I can't finesse verbs to agree with their subjects, and there are usually way too many commas in my sentences. And I'm an English teacher. It's kind of sad. I hate that one verb can have so many tenses and conditions. Did you know that verbs can have conditions? For example, you are unconditional, are an unmistakable light, erase. Were. You are straw, stick, and brick for my homeless love, erase. You are. Replace with you were. See, I'm so bad at this. You stop meeting the requirements to be a being verb since it requires a pulse. And when you lost yours, everything became so tense. The past became my present continuously. So I've been continuously erasing present tense verbs from your name. The present is only perfect when you're in it. So today is just another Sunday. But I find myself packing your name into yesterday's boxes next to the things that were. And you are. Erase. Were. Isn't it crazy how one word can take someone you love from reality to memory? The way your name cradled my mouth had to change, but nothing else did. Like the toothbrush you left on the bathroom sink, the pillow that held your head while you slept on the left side of the bed when our days turned into nights, then nights turned into present. I'm present. Today is just another Sunday. You're working the job you said you wanted to quit 100 times, and I laugh when I kiss you goodbye. Inhaling cinnamon and cedarwood from your clothes, I'm present. You haven't texted back because it's a busy day. But that's to be expected. I'll wait. You're off at 5, home by 5:30, and I'm present. 5:45, you probably fell behind. It's fine. It's only time. 6, you're not answering. But I've gotten used to this. The way you would surprise me with your presence. 7, you're on your way. You are on your way. You were on your way. 8, sirens. Erased. You're no longer a part of my present, but you're being still, so it's just another Sunday. But it's been Sunday every day since, because if Monday comes, then it takes you with it. Erase. It's just another Sunday. Erase. It's just Sunday. Erase. Sunday. Have you ever met someone that made you want to make forever meet today? I know, because today I've lived so many Sundays trying to hold on to your name. I'd break every grammar rule if it meant our sentence would run on continuously. Now I'm afraid. I'm afraid to walk into tomorrow with only my memories tucked behind broken sentences and trying to remember if I said I loved you. I did. Right? It's just another Sunday, so I still can. Right? Thank you. Okay. Y'all still with me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, beautiful. I am so grateful for Timbuktua Arts. Thank you, Lauren, for reaching out. Thank you for this opportunity to allow me to share my story. Connection is very important to me, so please connect with me. My Instagram is Life with Stella B. Life with Stella, B as in boy. I post shows that I do down my way on my Instagram. If I feature anywhere, if I go anywhere, I post it on my Instagram as well. And of course, if you felt something, if something touched you, I'd love to hear about it. I'd love to hear your story. So please connect with me so we can talk and continue to build this community. All right, one last thing, one last poem. Very, very huge on mental health. Mental health is not discussed at all in the Black community. You get shunned if you tell someone that you're depressed. If you tell someone you're suicidal or you're feeling a certain way, it's an issue, it's a problem. And that's something I'm working really hard to change. Everywhere I go, I have a mental health conversation. I'm in the classroom, I'm having a mental health conversation. If I'm coaching students to do poetry, we're having that conversation. I want them to know that it's okay to not be okay. And it's okay to feel certain things. We're gonna work our way through it. We're gonna work our way out of it. But it's okay if that's where you are right now. So if you are like feeling any of these things and you're struggling, please reach out. I am here for you. That is like my sole purpose in life. I have survived many attempts on my life. Just to be here for those who are thinking the same things that I've thought all these years. So I want the opportunity to be a blessing, to give back, pay it forward for all the people who sewed into me and was a blessing for me. So please allow me that opportunity to be there for you in the same way people were there for me. So one last piece on mental health, and I'll get out of your way. I read a story once about an inquisitive man who went to a museum. He marveled at all of the once living things he saw before him, but completely missed the elephant in the room. And isn't that so like us? Obsessing over minor details while completely missing the obvious. My sister was 15 when she became the elephant in the room. So clear that she was invisible, till her stomach had to be turned inside out with charcoal, vomiting the gray of her depression and self-hate, her thick skin filled with tally marks of all the times she tried to let the daylight out of her body. Her pain eclipsed the sun. We stood in the shade and didn't realize we took her light, took her condition lightly. But you never know the real size of an elephant till it's sitting on your chest. Heavy, like text messages that my sister's organs are shutting down, can't catch her breath, life evacuating her body, emergency Baker Act. With a full bottle of pills, she reminded us that she was still living, even though she wanted to die. We looked back, saw the elephant's tracks all over her, and wondered how we missed it. She slept her days away, befriended razor blades, and rarely ate. We thought it was typical teenage antics, but the elephant was trying to alert us to its presence. We missed it. I missed it. I became the inquisitive man, only a spectator to my sister's existence, but not an active participant. She told me she was becoming origami. I thought she was folding into something beautiful. I watched as she folded into herself and never reappeared. She broke her body like communion, then fed me the pieces. I had no idea she was trying to become holy, a sacrifice with no resurrection. She took tomorrow, ended it today, left me holding yesterday in my arms, praying for more time. Have you ever been to a funeral for someone who almost died? People pay admission for that agony, but they won't admit that they missed the warning signs. We can't continue to be blind to what's in front of us, or we'll be sitting on graveyards of elephants, obsessing over headstones of names of loved ones we thought we knew. So clear that they're invisible. With me, I would greatly appreciate it. This is why I do this. It's very important to me. The red bottle will be out front, so whenever you all come out, if you would like to help me out, I'd be so grateful. Thank you again. Thank you for listening to my story and giving me this opportunity. Thank you.
That was amazing. Thank you. I particularly thank you for your honesty. And Curtis and I get into this about like people that write about pretty things and flowers and landscapes. And Curtis is the only person that I've known to write a 10-minute poem about flowers. I was like, okay.
And birds.
It's beautiful. You just taught me something that I didn't know. You can write about anything, but the key is to write yourself. One of the things that I learned after 20 years of writing and never sharing, and then sharing it on Twitter of all places, is that people would be like, can I talk to you? Because when you're honest and you're raw, people are like, oh, like, you get it. You say all the things I'm thinking that I haven't been able to say. And so, yeah, it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to not be okay and sometimes not want to talk about it. But then you meet that person, it's like, okay, you'll get it. And anybody that's been here before knows mental health is a really big thing for me. And again, in the Black community, especially Black men, yeah, we don't talk about it. But even just all together, you know, this is a new generation where we're finally like getting it out. And I would give you that same invitation. How can we help? how can I help you? But other, aside from that, like, thank you for your raw words, for we overuse this here a bit, but your authenticity. I'm glad you told that story about the poet laureate saying, I don't see you in here. And that's what I love on this stage is, let's get a look at you under this really hot light. So thank you so much, Stella and Laura. Before we start the open mic portion, Benoit, can you speak about who the artist in residence is? There's a lot of happy colors up here.
I did that before you came on, but I'm happy to do it again. Dave DeWitt is our
Not everybody was here.
Yeah, he's pretty cool actually. He's a young guy, and he painted live what you have behind you there last week. And he's been working on it, and I think maybe he might be trying to finish it on Friday, live for Yuval Amihai's concert. So then.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's very bright, and in case anybody was curious, we do have artists in residence here. Sometimes we have them paint for this show, not this time. I'm sorry. But if you're curious. And let's start our open mic portion. So I'm going to call you up 3 at a time in the interest of time. I'm going to have you line up here just so that we can keep things rolling. And we're going to start with Kay, Nicki, and Kar-Lai. Oh no, you get to come up on stage.
Oh, man.
Kay's like, why'd you call me first?
To go after her. Okay. Hi, my name's Kay. I've been doing spoken word off and on since I was young. I haven't really performed in a long time, but I have bipolar, so I'm definitely gonna share a little bit of my story with that. So, yes, I'm big on mental health, so I hope to share this with you guys and hope you guys connect. So it's called pressure. Unneeded pressure coming down on me like a ticking time bomb, which if you knew someone that has bipolar is never a good thing. It's very unforgiving. Pressure, restrictive, almost like a chokehold to my throat, and I don't mean like when I enjoy it during pleasure. Pressure from family, friends, socials, needs, expectations, assumptions, when in reality, the only one that is holding the gun to my head is me. When we point, 3 fingers are pointed back at us, but it's not needed pressure. Yet we have this need to succeed until we almost bleed, and that is what I mean. It is hard to see our need to grieve and let things be because of this not needed pressure. Where at the end of the day, the only one that can relieve me is me. I am the only one that can say stop and breathe. You need to take a moment and remind yourself that only you can relieve and grieve the things that you need to be. So let that shit go. For all you need is to be, and let that pressure be free. Thank you.
Hi. Hi. I'm Nicki, and I wanted to visit a poem I wrote about 25 years ago. Right before we were going to fix racism. So I thought it would be passé pretty quickly. I actually started writing it in my head when I was about 11. And I was in the center of a racist culture here in Florida and very much the beneficiary of it. And always had been. And then one day, I just noticed it. And what I did about it was nothing. This is called Black History, White Legacy, for the housekeepers of my childhood, Priscilla, Blanche, and Pearl. How do I march in the parade and not be a hypocrite? How do I raise my fist and feel pride? It's not just you on a displaced continent, which of course you know better than I, But you know better which continent to miss and mourn for, celebrate and emulate without reservations. I have inherited the okra, the biscuits, and the blues too. We both know my mother learned to make, not from her mother, but from her mother's maids. The same maids who raised me. Called maids because slaves was no longer right, and anything else would have meant admission and a significant raise. So their well-needed bread kept us fed, and their encouragement kept us reading. Their wagged fingers kept us in line, all while the other hand folded our laundry and dusted our things, collected and unused. Their cleaning up after us kept us honest, and they always uncovered our secrets, yet always kept them. We obeyed their heavy gaze and dismayed at their shaking heads, where we merely rolled our eyes at our own mothers. But they never looked in our eyes when parents were around, which I guess is how we knew never to speak to them in front of grown-ups, a silent pact. But left alone, we drove them crazy, distracting their work as we circled round them with our tethered ponies and pool toys, assuming a friendship, and always puzzled when they went home. And they went home, with untouched leftovers and refrigerator boxes to their children. Oh, they had children. But their children knew refrigerator boxes make great spaceships because they were being raised on imagination while we were being raised on things. And they knew leftovers were better than nothing left because they wanted more for their children where we simply always wanted more. Because their children went to college on hard work and a first generation's privilege, where we dropped out of college out of spite. But now that I'm grown, I want to march in the parade because I know things still aren't right. And the more true freedom you have, the more we all stand to inherit. But how do I march in the parade and not be a hypocrite? How do I raise my fist and feel pride? I want to march in the parade and learn what pride without prejudice looks like and where it can take us. I want to march in the parade and say, teach me how to write poetry from boxing rings and come out swinging my anger into activism. I want our senators to march in the parade and say, teach us how to stretch $1 and make good on that centuries-old promissory note. I want our parents to march in the parade, saying, teach us how to care for our children and our parents without shipping them off to institutions. I want our boys to march in the parade and say, teach us how to own our own pain without shooting up schoolyards and post offices. I want our victims to march in the parade saying, teach us forgiveness and how to draw strength from our knowing. I want our artists to march in the parade saying, teach us to see beauty in curves, the upbeat and non-neutral colors. And for the love of God, teach our Brittany Tiffany teeny boppers how to sing. I want our doctors and scientists and engineers to put down the plastic surgery scalpels and march in the parade, saying, teach us how to explore space from refrigerator box rockets. I want our presidents to march in the parade, saying, teach us how to put down our missiles and move mountains with nonviolent marches. I want our preachers and Bible thumpers to march in the parade, saying, teach us that neighborhoods are congregations and porch fronts are temples. I want us all to march in the parade till we have the courage to demand our dead be returned from money and insist these boxes be broke open. Oh, to bound up off that curb and march in the parade without asking, you teach us, show us, accommodate us, do us one more thing. Thank you.
Hi there. My name's Kar-Lai, Gambrosia. First part is Chinese, second part is my husband's fault, he's Croatian. But today, well, first I wanted to say thanks to Stella for sharing a lot of In the past, a lot of the other pieces that I've shared were about grief and loss and mental health or how to process hard things. So I appreciated that. And today I'm going to kind of go in a little different direction. The other pieces before were newer pieces, more recent. I do writing workshops and words of the day that you can find on Poetry Hour Workshops on Instagram. But today, I wrote a couple notes down, but tonight I'll share some poems from my 2003 collection. It was written during a time when I was still exploring my cultural identity, still figuring out what it meant to have relationships, understand love and communication. That was way before I met my husband. And I also was a music major, so I loved music and sounds and how that would work. So especially the use of silence as well, because both in music and in poetry, there's a beauty in the silence in between. So while some things in life are lost in translation, some are only found in the spaces between everything. So I'm finally in that season of life where all of my grandparents have passed. My mom has passed, my young brother-in-law has passed away. A lot of different things have happened. So when I look at these old pieces, it's very meaningful, and I wanted to share two with you tonight. If you were to look at the pieces too, they are laid out on the page visually in a certain way so that you'll see it represents that piece. If you want to see later, you can ask me. I'll show you. So the first poem is called Sai Mai, which in Cantonese it means to wash the uncooked rice. It uses a term po po, which means maternal grandmother. At once swift and sinuous, Popo's ancient brittle hands swirl the churning tap water into whirlpools of soy-colored starchiness. Unyielding fingers rake through rice, sewn on the surface of smooth mirrored patties, strewn like patches across the jade-green hills of Yunping. She can no longer see the reflection of her faded face in the glassy fields, ankle deep in years of soiled territory, hands chapped with labor and her womb empty of sons, only good for birthing, while her beauty was dying. Her silence perspired, dripping a steady stream, hanging her out to dry with age. Papa, how do farmers grow enough rice for Chinese people to eat? Startled, she glances my way, water running, ritual interrupted, to sift through English thoughts. She sighs. Everything made in China.
Oof.
Thanks. This second poem is about unrequited relationships. I'm sure we've all experienced that in some way. It is called White Noise, which means a heterogeneous mixture of sound waves over a wide frequency range. So, white noise. If you'd stop the guided tour that you've led me on for 4 years, you might realize my fists are overflowing with empty words you've scattered, crumbs for me, leftover bits of hope I've gathered. You don't always get what I'm saying, but you've managed to fade me back through generations to when proper Chinese women tiptoed behind their men, eyes and mouths trapped behind souls, tender, broken into from tradition, neglect, and habit. Most of the time, I'm quiet, listening to the way that you stoop to sweep away my pieces, like you hate to leave me a mess. You babble as I listen, like a pebble caught between the currents of your speech. I'm waiting for you to turn around and see me, planted at the base of your marble staircase, in front of the information booth of your museum, feeling the smooth white noise sliding against my skin, bodies and voices bustling, rustling up the air around me, encasing my stillness in a chrysalis. A whirlwind of sounds twirling through my ears, whistling into my hair, brushing over my lashes 1,000 times. In one moment, I finally get to close my eyes like they do in those romance movies, lips spreading slow as syrup across my face, to dream that I am more than what you've seen. A future wife, tender lover, a moonlit stargazer, helpless romantic in distress. I always thought you'd listen if I was quiet enough. Listen to me silently screaming for you to turn around and listen to how my feet whisper so lightly. You don't even know I'm here.
Thank you, ladies. I really am losing my mind up here. One of the things I always say, it's funny in poetry or music or lyrics, what will randomly resonate with you? We had Susan Lilly here a year ago, and she did a poem about having sex in a canoe and the center of gravity related to it, and it made my engineer's heart very happy. And so though I've never played in a refrigerator box, exploring space from it, not like I've worked within space industry, but I don't know, it kind of spoke to me, made me a little happy. Thank you. So thanks everybody. Our next three will be Christian, Abrian, and Fienx Felicia. Felicia also known as Fienx.
Just Fienx.
Just Fienx.
Hi, my name is Christian. Originally I was just going to read these poems, but I feel like they deserve context now. So, I just have two short ones, but the reason that I've chosen them is a long time ago, not that long ago, 9 years ago, I lived 4 months of my life that I don't really remember them very well. And I'd always kind of thought, like, leading up to it, like, what if that ever happened to me? And then it actually happened to me. And writing to me has always kind of been the way to get out of that. But, yeah, so those 4 months, I don't really remember them. However, when I came out of that, I had written a poem in those 4 months, and I've never read it out loud before, but I'd like to read it out loud now because I've never heard what it sounds like. And I guess I'll talk a little bit more about it after, how it connects to the second one, but this is called Heartbreak Deluxe. Sticky tide, seeping rose, drift and churn, smeary waves and haze echoes, dreaming burns, razor din and linger low, over her like a whirlpool current turns, all bleeds through, or pours into opening. Days awash, watch them pass, buzzsaw throb, tender chord of fractured glass, smolder on in a blur of indigo, braille the hurt, pulsing out vibrations slow, weighted heart, drag, sigh, murmur fever ache. Sealing eyes, pinball thoughts. Always know clockless nights of pulling knots. Here alone in compulsive cue. Over her and the muted fading hues. Bear the wound. Oh no, this is nothing new. Cauterize. Oh no, this is nothing new. Thank you. So the reason I bring it up is I came out of those 4 months, but I couldn't write anymore. And it was weird. It was a weird feeling. And then I spent the next 7 years of my life not writing. And I always thought about it sometimes, but it seemed like something that I used to do, but that wasn't part of me anymore. I don't know. So this next poem is more recent. It's from about a year ago. 2 years ago is the first time that I wrote again. After that first one, but I didn't write poetry. I mean, I primarily consider myself a poet first, but I didn't come back to poetry. I came back to a short little memoir, I guess. So that's what I wrote 2 years ago. But this next poem that I'm going to read is the first poem that I wrote again. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, but when you have the idea that you know can become a poem and you hear it in your head for the first time, you hear the entire poem all at one time. Mm-hmm. You don't even know the lines, but you can see the shape and the structure of it. Mm-hmm. So I missed that. I hadn't had that for a long time. Then I had it with this poem. So this was kind of first thing I wrote coming back to it, I guess. We'll call it. It's called Rebounder. Veins polluted with coarse venom, reach for antidote, and when none, dilution options on the table like icy pool, but first inhale. Plunge in and float and try to hold it as pressure squeeze lungs long to remit. Intrusive thoughts to drown a scare, panic a choke, lash out for air. Then work myself into a lather, chintzy gilded glitter, gold? Rather, cracking put on face and smile, running makeup, see-through guile. Breathe in, but breeze is hot and heavy, latent toxins past the levee. Familiar seesaw facsimile, purge poison stream and release me. Thank you.
Did Abrian next? Yeah, you.
Okay. Hello. My name is Abrian. Friends and family call me Abe. I am known on the streets as the outcast. First and foremost, before I forget, there's a possibility that you guys might want to show your enthusiasm throughout this quote-unquote set, but if you can please hold it to the end, I greatly appreciate it because I don't want to mess up. So I'm 35 years old. I hail from Brooklyn, New York. I spent my 21st birthday in the New York State Penitentiary. I was born prematurely. My mother was a crackhead. It's been a long, tough road to learn how to become authentically myself. But I think I've done a pretty good job. And for you guys tonight, I would like to sing an a cappella version of a song that I wrote called Home. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 6, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now I'm staring back at me, my reflection is vast. Head lowers, right hand slides down the glass. A deep breath now, exhale, I turn and I leave. Don't forget to shut the lights, electric bill is a squeeze. I stop to think of those fortunate not to be jinxed. I turn to my left and Matthew's there, he gives me a wink. Swivel back to front and center as I shuffle to bed. I hit the mattress and a wave crashes round in my head. Says you're not worth it, you're a drag, and no one wants you around. I visualize the wedges I've hammered with all who surround. Sleep sounds grand, it's 1 p.m., my mind's in a trance. I revisit how now waking up starting to sound like a plan. The admiration of my children stop to drop a hello. But second doubt sets in, it's like the past is wrapped on my throat. I give a twitch and shake it like my dog just stepped on a bead. Then God himself reveals the antidote, he's counting from 3. Heart rate strengthens as I feel blood rush through my veins. My eyes open, what once were pupils have turned into flames. No more pain, what I perceive's a demon's been slain. So bloody bruiser can rest, for the results have been changed and I'm home. The chills have traveled down to the bone. I can pull sword from the stone, so no more baloney syndrome that sits on home. To take my place atop of the throne, it smell like Draco cologne, so have a wishbone, don't disown, do hit phone home. I'm Spielberg with the grace that I own. My brain mechanics are the most advanced technology known, man, I'm home. When the stakes are high, I go in alone. I rock and roll in the zone, where we'll forever be home. It's no extreme. I'm what happens when you follow your dreams. Within your routine, make time to learn to work as a team. Then form your regime. Choose honor and respect for your theme. Must build your own reality for when life's not what it seems. Cause almost everyone who truly gave a fuck is deceased. Failing classes, when I pass it's by the skin of my teeth. I must critique, pick apart, then expand on my reach. Oh, pardon me, fasten that seatbelt, buzz, the rent's been increased. My wife don't want me to make it, she wants me all to herself. I contemplate honoring wishes, going back on the shelf. But we've come too far to give into the agony felt. So darling, try out the wealth, namely through sickness and health, for I am home. The chills have traveled down to the bone. I can pull sword from the stone, so no more baloney syndrome that sits on home. To take my place atop of the throne, it smell like Draco cologne, so have a wishbone, don't disown, do hit phone. And that's it. Chills. Thank you. Chills, my dude. Thank you.
Good.
Grazie.
Someday I'll wake up and I'm all alone. Only you can rescue me from my dream. All I have to make love to is words in a song. At least these words of mine will never leave. Oh, can you rescue me? Oh, can you save me from myself? Shield me from the woman I become. I need you to rescue me right now. Baby, can you please come rescue me? Baby, can you save me from myself? Baby, can you please? One day I'll wake up and I'm all alone. Only you can rescue me from my dreams. And all I words of mine will never leave. Oh, can you rescue me? Oh, can you save me from myself? Shield me from the woman I become. 'Cause I need you to rescue me right now. Baby, can you please come rescue me? Baby, can you save me from myself? Oh, 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 yeah. Baby, can you please come rescue me? Hey, y'all. Thank you. Wow, I just thought of doing that because I'm loving everyone that has went on. Thank you so much. I'm just so overwhelmed right now by this. So that's something I wrote when I was in a really just dark time and not really knowing what I wanted to do. And I'm sure we've all felt that way. So this next one I want to sing, I want to be very cognizant of the time, by the wonderful Ella. And I'm just going to condense it. And I'll just start. After one whole quart of brandy, like a daisy I'm away, with no broom or seltzer handy, I don't even shake. Men are not a new sensation. I've done pretty well, I think, but this half-pint imitation put me on the blink. I'm wild again, beguiled again, a simpering, whimpering child again, bewitched, bothered, and bewildered. Am I lost my heart, but what of it? He is cold, I agree. He can laugh, but I love it, although the laugh's on me. I've sinned a lot, I mean a lot, but I'm like sweet 17, a lot rich, bothered, and bewildered. Am I? Horizontally speaking, he's at his very best. Though you know that you can be blinking, though you're saving the rest. Vexed again, perplexed again, thank God I can be oversexed again, bewitched, bothered, and bewildered. Am I? Couldn't eat, was dyspeptic. Life was so hard to bear. Now my heart's antiseptic since you moved out of there. Romance fini,
your chance, Vinny. Those ants that invaded my pants, Vinny. Bewitched, bothered, and bewildered. Because I felt it. You know, I really felt the pain that she was going through, and all these decades later, it still resonates with today. So anyway, my name is Fienx, La Fienx, and I thank you for your time, everybody. Thank you.
Never thought it would become this. Thank you, everybody. I'm just gonna call it the next three because I got nothing. Kenny, B, and Anthony.
I gotta go after Fienx.
It's only your name. There you go.
So, all of you inspired me here. I'm from Ohio. I've been here for maybe a year and a half, and I kind of closed myself in a room. I was like, you're gonna go to work, you're gonna do your internship, you're not gonna do anything, you're just gonna stay focused. And I did that for a year, and this is one of the first times I actually ventured out, and I met so many amazing people without even meeting y'all yet. You have really great gifts. So, I'm gonna do a cover, but I promise I'm gonna be back. And the next time I come back, I'm gonna do something original. And I wrote so many songs, but I didn't practice it. So, I have a thing where when I get on stage in front of a bunch of people, my leg shakes. And I can't get it to stop. So, this is practice for me. So I appreciate y'all being here. I'm doing John Legend.
All right.
Girl, I'm in love with you. This ain't a honeymoon, past the infatuation phase. I'm right at the thick of love. Times we get sick of love. Seems like we argue every day. I know I misbehave and we make our mistakes, but we still have room left to grow. And though love sometimes hurts, I still put you first, and we'll make this thing work. But I think we should take it slow. We're just ordinary people. We don't know which way to go, 'cause we're ordinary people. Maybe we should take it slow, take it slow. This time we'll take it slow, take it slow. This time we'll take it slow. This ain't a movie, no fairy tale conclusion, y'all. It gets more confusing every day. Oh, and sometimes it's heaven sent and we head back to hell again. We kiss and we'll make up on the way. I hang up and you call. We rise and we fall, and we feel like just walking away. And though love take advances, we'll take second chances. Though it's not a fantasy, I still want you to stay. We're just ordinary people. We don't know which way to go, 'cause we're ordinary people. Maybe take it slow, take it slow. Maybe we'll live and learn, maybe we'll crash and burn, maybe we'll stay, maybe we'll go, maybe you'll return, maybe another fight, maybe we won't survive, maybe we'll grow, you'll never know, baby, you and I, we're just ordinary people. We don't know which way to go. We're just ordinary people. Maybe we should take it slow. Take it slow. Oh, this time we'll take it slow. Take it slow. Slow. This time we'll take it slow.
So inspired by each and every one of you. Ooh, may God bless you. May He do exceedingly abundantly above all you ask. My name is D. Destiny. I'm an inspirational, motivational, dramatic, spoken word poet. And I'm going to tell a story. And I'm going to be my authentic self.
Love it. So happy.
One thing is certain. As the days go by, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this never-ending gloom? Only seeing gloom and doom. Bruised, battered, and shattered. Hearing an intoxicated individual saying, boo, 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 boo. Feelings of isolation, alienation, intimidation, rejected from birth, practically raised by a single mother with 7 children, only to dream, think, and meditate on a way to escape. Most planned to attend college. College attendance was a way to escape the gloom, doom, and boom, 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 boom. Every breath from a bruised, battered, and shattered body, there was a great and mighty, powerful voice within. A spirit of love, spirit of joy, spirit of peace, and belonging. He spoke words of encouragement such as better days are coming. Labeled least likely to succeed, but a voice indeed. One thing is certain. Jesus carried my burden.
Good evening, good evening. I gotta take one quick second to give a round of applause for all the talent that's been in here. Please come back. I'm here all the time, so I would love to see you. If I can find you anywhere else, let me know. Great job to everybody. My name is Anthony Collins. Like I said, I'm a regular here. I go by the stage name TC the Griot. I've been writing for a long time. I'm a poet. I don't know if I call myself a spoken word artist, but I like to read poetry too. So I do that. Where I want to start. So I'm only going to do one poem tonight. I'm gonna give you a little backstory on it. So last time I was here, I wrote a poem about my son, right? And I didn't have time to write one about my daughter. My son's 9 years old, my daughter's 4, if you want to know. And so obviously I had to do a poem about my daughter. As a matter of fact, today I was telling her about, like, you know, my poetry and stuff like that. I'm reading it and yada, yada, yada. And she's like, Daddy, can you read one about me? And I'm like, well, guess what, baby? I got one. So I finally finished that poem. I finally finished it. So a little backstory to kind of explain like what this piece is going to be about. So when my daughter was first born, like no matter what I did, if I looked at her, if I touched her, she always cried. It was heartbreaking. And the funny thing is that like I got along with like every other kid, but my daughter, I couldn't touch her. It was crazy. Long story short, we got past it, you know. She forgave me for whatever I did. I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was, but she forgave me. And I got this poem, and you'll see in the piece, I talk about her crying a lot. That's because it actually happened. So this piece is called Boo Boo. I cradle my newborn baby beside a nurse's station. She's wailing like a siren. I dragged her into this blanket reeking of latex gloves and some stranger's shampoo. I dragged her into this room, opaque ointment caked over her eyes. Are they mine or her mother's? I dragged her into this crescendo of beeps and intercom messages and body odor. I'm sweating. She's screaming like I stole her. I hum. She stops, screams again. I hush, then rub her back slightly above her diaper. Siri says babies like it. She curls up, snuggles my chest, quiet. I dragged her into this, and that isn't blowing over like rolling clouds. For months, I stare at spots on ceilings, floors, walls as I rub her back. Don't lock eyes or my 7-pound siren screams, and I made day mommy. I drag my baby into this, night and day. I YouTube how to make a baby laugh. She laughs, but laughs wither to whimpers that melt wax of a flameless candle. I dragged her into this. A laugh folded into the spine of an old photo album for a woman and her dad to share. Or I'm delusional, or maybe I'm not. I dragged her into this. But love is at times an act of futility. Oof. And acts of futility are melting snow, a trickle that roars into rivers carving canyons. One night she looks up, contorts chubby cheeks into a toothless grin. Her diaper grows, warms my hand. She pooped, then dozed off. I dragged her into this. That smile is a blossom, blooming bouquets that lay roots banning a pulse through this vessel. Dew pools on my eyelids. It's just dew, not tears. It was just dew. I nicknamed my baby Boo Boo, and not like a womb, but like the soft spot crowning a head that I cover with a cap. In the palms of my hand, I try to steady. I swaddle my baby, but don't lay her in the crib. The bend in my elbow is her hammock. I rock and sway. I'm her cradle. I dragged her into this, and I'll carry her through it. I just want to do my socials. I normally don't do it. I'm just not that kind of guy, to be honest with you. But I do like to connect, like Stella B said. There's a lot of different things that we could all share and learn from each other. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, it's at TC, the THE, Griot. It's spelled Griot. So it's TC the Griot, Griot. So thank you, and I look forward to who else is here, and I enjoyed it.
So thank you for reminding me because I never remember to plug social. I'm just not that person. And Anthony followed me for like 3 months before I knew who he was. I was like, who is this guy liking all my posts? Who is the griot? I don't understand. So, any pictures or anything you take, please tag Timucua Arts Foundation on Facebook, at Timucua Arts, at Authentic Selves, whatever you like on Facebook. My Instagram is the Poetic Engineer because, you know, I do engineering for a living. There's an underscore in there somewhere. I don't know. Just find me and you're probably following one of these people, and I post pictures of everybody. So please find me on Facebook or whatever. I know of one other person that has signed up for the open mic. Is there anybody that signed up that did not talk to me yet? No. Okay, so before I bring up the last person, I had been thinking about this before I came here, which is that I have not read in a year. Well, I've not read here in a year. I did perform somewhere else. And everybody's like, Lauren, when are you going to read? And there's so many open mic participants. There's so many open mic participants that I never read because I'm sitting here gawking at you guys.
It's your show.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy. Yeah, it is my show, which is exactly why I should not read, because I love hearing all of you guys read. But because it's been a year, I was like, all right, let me try. And I wasn't going to, but you guys, oh my God, you guys have been amazing tonight. So I read this poem a year ago in August, and I totally, everything about writer's block resonates because I haven't been able to write since. And I was actually blocked before I wrote this poem, and I'm sitting at the bar at the porch. I had like 2 or 3 shots of scotch, and I wrote this in like 10 minutes.
Keep it real.
Yeah. I'm just saying, whiskey can make you do good things. And I sent it to my high school English teacher, and she responded, holy shit. So, I'm terrified, but I'm going to read it. As much as you see me up here, I'm always scared and sweating on the inside, just so you guys know. So.
About time.
Do it.
All right. Whew, okay. I went to a truck stop to settle my soul, take a break from the drive to nowhere. Someone told me once I have a trucker mouth, so I thought maybe I'd fit in. Even though I don't drive anything that's more than 4 wheels, never have, never intend to, but I figure I can sit at the counter and have a taste of the apple pie and talk about where we've been, where we're going, even if I'm not driving there like the rest of them. They ask me where I'm from and I don't know what to tell them. They ask me where I'm going and I don't know what to tell them. I can only say where I am right now in this moment, sitting next to them, talking about the journey, and beer, diner pancakes, sleep, soap, whatever else. Like every other place I've been, I find the same tragedy. They have a destination and I do not. They can speak to beginnings and ends and I cannot. I'm still stuck in the middle trying to choose a reality, and they'll be on their way, rested, sated, trucks weighted onto whatever, and I'll be sitting here waiting for whatever. You know what? I guess I'll have another slice of apple pie and think about it. Or you know, I might try the blueberry. I wander about the vicinity and come back to this place pretending I'm stopping for the first time. Me being a regular here will be a secret to me and the hostess, the waitress, and any other regulars about the small town. I'll pretend that I have new stories. I'll regale the passersby and those who know I'm lying with my tales, and the ones that do know, they'll let me have my fantasies and my lies, shaking their heads while they throw back their own pies. Mostly apple, of course. I'll pretend that I live a reality that I love, that I want to go back to, and they won't know that the transient audience here is the center of my soul. Because it knows nothing else, because it fears anything else, because it won't go anywhere else. And this place won't talk.
She writes too.
I know, right? That felt great. Harold is our last performer of the night. Harold has been with us since the very, very, very beginning, and we love to have him here every time he's here. Last one for the night.
First and foremost, I'd like to pay my respects to the Creator without whom nothing is possible. I'd like to welcome you all with the warmest of greetings, and that is the greetings of peace and love. So most of my poems are inspired by different eras of art. So this piece is going to be coming from the Renaissance era. And so in art, there is a technique called shading. It involves using lines or blocks of color to create perspective or depth. So the T4 action program was a non-voluntary euthanasia program initiated by the Nazis. The idea was to target those individuals who they considered non-essentials. So it targeted mostly the elderly, those with underlying health conditions, and the mentally challenged. Prior to the Iraq War, the then sitting president, George Bush III, made the statement that I know for a fact that there are weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, and to this day we have found no weapons of mass destruction. So this piece that I want to share with you tonight is inspired by Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel. In 1475, in the city of Caprese, was born arguably one of the greatest artists ever, Michelangelo di Lodovico Buonarroti Simoni, or simply Michelangelo. As an infant, he was given the charge of a wet nurse who was the wife of a stonemason. It's here that Michelangelo said that his propensity for sculpture began, because along with his wet nurse's milk, he had sucked in the hammer and chisels that produced his figures. As an adolescent, he studied in some of the most prestigious painting and sculpture gardens of his time. At the age of 24, his legend was established and sealed after the completion of a marble statue entitled the Madonna del Pieta, which is an interpretation of Mary holding Christ after the crucifixion. When the site was visited by the famous writer Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, it was said that before our eyes and before our hands stands not testament to what one man can do, but what one man has done. In 1508, he was commissioned by then Pope Julius II to repaint the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel. The Sistine Chapel is one of the most known chapels in the Apostolic Palace, which is the home of the Pope in Vatican City. It was rebuilt and repainted by Pope Sixtus IV, and since his reign has been the site of the papal conclave, which is the process by which a new pape is chosen. The original ceiling was painted by Piero Matteo di Emilia and consisted of simply a blue background with stars. For Michelangelo's theme, he chose the Bible, particularly the book of Genesis. 6 of the 9 ceiling center episodes are directly related to the act of creation. In scene 1, you have the separation of light from darkness. In scene 2, you have the creation of the constellations and the stars. In scene 3, you have the separation of the land from the sea. In scene 4, you have the creation of man. In scene 5, you have the creation of woman. In scene 6, you have the fall and expulsion from the garden. Of these scenes, the most known is the creation of man, also known as the hand of God, in which is shown the outstretched arms of the Creator, whose fingertips are just out of reach of the fingertips of man, who ironically seems nonchalant in his effort to touch God. The power of these scenes is that they are Michelangelo's interpretation of creation, the fall and expulsion, and the hope for the future redemption of humanity. But the question is, if some of our life scenes were to be painted on the ceiling, what would be the scenes that would be depicted? So this is my poetic rendition of Michelangelo's Sistine Chapel. I paint my face on the ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, like Michelangelo. See, the government's been painting pictures for years to tell lies. Behind one mask hides just another disguise. They try to hold me down like the crucifixion, like the resurrection. Still I rise. I keep my eyes focused on the prize. I keep my thoughts on space trips like the Star Trek Enterprise. I keep my head in the clouds in the books looking for the answer. How do we know there's no cure for cancer? Maybe that's just another means of population control. And as long as we continue to encourage our kids to be athletes and entertainers, instead of historians and scientists and physicists and biologists and mathematicians, it's the answer to a question we might never know. If we continue to see life with ill content, we'll continue to see faces of death. Like the artist Johannes Stern, who survived the concentration camps, then painted faces of death. Because the experience left a stain on his mind of innocent men persecuted for their religious convictions, standing in the death line. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the furnace of affliction. Before I researched history, it was hard for me to imagine a world based on Hitler's vision. It was hard to imagine blankets laced with smallpox, murder, and rape, then to sit down for Thanksgiving. And lest we not forget that my ancestors were made the descendants of slaves. And of the millions that were sent, roughly 10% survived the Middle Passage, the rest died in watery graves. And those that did reach the so-called promised land received shackles and chains. So shackles on my feet won't let me dance, but shackles on my mind won't let me advance. When mankind feels he has no chance, he throws a plane at a glass building. So now it's time for rebuilding, reshaping, rethinking, remaking. So let us recreate man in the likeness and image of the first, fashioned from the soil of the Garden of Eden, before the fall and expulsion, before Cain killed Abel, before there was a hole in the middle of the earth, bleeding. So the universe is crying, because that which is created immortal by the hand of God has been made mortal by the hand of man. And she's dying. And she's dying. I saw my name on the ceiling at the Sistine Chapel.
Thank you.